So we're still in the midst of the war. Where he talked about, in the midst of the war, the latest war. And we talked last time about Bias and Mashiach. It's in the air. Everybody's talking about it. Yishmael.
I think it's more on the ground than in the air.
This is Golis Yishmael, Milchemes Yishmael.
What's Milchemes Yishmael? What's Gog and Magog? It's two separate Milchamos? The final Milchama is Gog and Magog or Milchemes Yishmael? That's what I don't understand.
There are contradictions. I'm not going to go into it. There are contradictions in the Medrash. And everything, of course, is unclear. It's not possible to know exactly. And the only reason that we know about Milchemes Yishmael is because of Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer and because of the Chaim Vital and Eitz Hadas. So there they talk about Milchemes Yishmael. It's in the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. But in the there's a medrash that talks about the final milchama is going to be between Poras and Arabia. Yeah. So by the Milchemes HaMifratz, everybody said that's it because that was against Iran, against Saudi Arabia, but that fizzled out, so that didn't become. But Iran is still involved. So we don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but we know, according to Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, Milchemes Gog Magog is the final milchama. And the Medrash says, the Zohar says, that it'll be a milchama. This is in the Zohar. The Zohar says that there's going to be a milchama between Yishmael and Esav, which we see sort of like it's beginning to materialize. If we see the beginnings of it, it could be it's going to be a long process of happening. You know, because you have Yishmael and you have the Haman who's in Iran. He runs Iran. He's mamish like a Haman. He wants to annihilate the Jews. He's the big anti-Semite, just like Haman was a big anti-Semite. And he's got all the money and all the power. And he's running Hamas, and he's running Hezbollah. And America's already sent warships to the Mediterranean and to the Red Sea. And the whole chessboard is being set up. How it's going to work out, we don't know. I don't know. And I've said this before. I don't want to give any nevuahs because it says in the Gemara that since the Churban Bayis Rishon, that nevuah was taken away from the Nevi'im and given over either to children or shaitim. Now, since I'm a little bit past my bar mitzvah, so there's only one other option, which I really don't want. So I'm not going to call myself a Navi. I'm not going to even try to, but we see the Simonim. And since we have the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer and the Rav Chaim Vital, the Talmud Muvak of the Arizal, and they say the final Milchama is going to be with Yishmael. And we have the Medrash. We have the Medrash. The Medrash says that was in Parshas Lech Lecha. Why is his name called Yishmael? Right? We had that already. We discussed this. Why is his name called Yishmael? Because he listened. Because Hashem listened to his koil and listened to his koil and saved him when he was dying of a fever, dying of thirst in the midbar. Right? Kodesh Baruch Hu heard the call of the Nar, Basher Husham, and therefore the Malach told Hagar to call him Yishmael. So the Medrash has the kasha, so his name should be Shmuel, not Yishmael. Shmuel is past tense. Kodesh Baruch Hu heard his voice. But why is it Yishmael? Kodesh Baruch Hu will hear, Kael will listen. So it says, V'asad Lavoi, the Medrash says, V'asad Lavo, they're going to do tsaris. Terrible tsaris to Klal Yisrael. And we're going to cry out from the tsaris. And Yishma Kel, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to listen to our our voice, our crying out, our davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, save us from this monster, Yishmael. And then we know, and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will listen and answer us. So we have a promise from the name Yishmael that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to answer us. So there's a question going around all the yeshivas and all the seminaries. There's a question going around all the yeshivas and all the seminaries. They wanted to leave. All the bachrim wanted to leave. All the girls wanted to leave. And my daughter teaches in a seminary. So at the beginning of the war, they all left. The place was empty. And 2 weeks later, they all came back. You know, they're all back now. And people are asking. They're calling up Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein. He's the Poisek Hador, like he's in Bnei Brak. He's the brother-in-law of Rav Chaim Kanievsky. He's the son-in-law of Rabbi Yosef Zatzal. So he's answering all the questions. People are coming to him. Bacham are asking, should they leave? Should they come back? And he's answering like the Chafetz Chaim. This question was posed to the Chafetz Chaim. This question was posed to the Chafetz Chaim in 1933. In 1933, this question was posed to the Chafetz Chaim.
Right before he died? Like this
is a couple of months before, half a year before he died, and not just by one person, several people. It's brought down in several, with different names, of people who asked the Chafetz Chaim. There was the winds of war. Then, Hitler had just come to power. And people were petrified. What should they do? Should you know? And the Chafetz Chaim, he knew, like we had, he already foresaw. That's when he said that. Everybody asked him if World War I was Milchemes Gog uMagog. He says no. After World War I, there'll be a hefsek, and then there'll be another war, and it's going to make the first war look like child's play. We talked about that. We had that a month ago. It's going to look like the World War was child's play. And is that going to be Gog uMagog? No, there's going to be another hefsek. And then there's going to be a third World War. And that's going to be when the Mashiach, that world war will bring the Mashiach. That's the Chafetz Chaim already foresaw that.
How Chafetz Chaim consists of things? He said there is no nevuah today. So how we knew it?
I can't answer you.
Can you just repeat the question, Rob, on the
But he's asking if I said there's no nevuah today, but there's Ruach HaKodesh. It says Tzaddikim, certain Tzaddiki Hador. They're plugged into the Bluetooth. They have a connection. A Navi has the ability. The difference is a Navi has the ability. Listen. You can argue later. The Navi has the ability to be asked questions, and he can ask questions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he gets a nevuah. What's going to it's. A person with Ruach HaKodesh, big tzaddikim, they had a Ruach HaKodesh, they just knew. They didn't ask it, but they sensed it.
He knows exactly what's going to happen. A Navi will say exactly what will happen down to the last detail.
He didn't say down to the last detail, he had a sense of a foreboding of what's, and there is such a thing as an intuition. So people have a foreboding. There was a mice in the number 2 at the bus bombing one of the first bus bombings. The number 2 bus, coming out of the Kaisel, and there was a young wife, and she heard the boom, and she said, "That's my husband." She just knew, and she ran, and unfortunately, she was right. Her husband was on the bus. She just knew. How'd she know? She was 5 blocks away. She knew. So there is such a thing as a foreboding. There's such a thing as an intuition. The Chafetz Chaim had a Ruach HaKodesh. He was known for these things because of his sitkis. So they asked the Chafetz Chaim, there was a bacher. A bacher came to the Chafetz Chaim. Then this is Shalom Shadron has the same Maisa. I have this Maisa in 1933, and I have another Maisa with somebody else in doesn't say a year. And the Bacham came to the Chafetz Chaim. They had been learning in Eretz Yisrael. They'd been learning in Eretz Yisrael, in yeshivas in Eretz Yisrael, and their parents were in Europe, and they went to visit their parents in Europe. And the parents said, "Don't go back to Eretz Yisrael," because that was right after the Maisa with the Hebron massacre, the pogrom in Hebron. So they didn't want to go back to Eretz Yisrael. The parents were afraid of them going back to Eretz Yisrael, but he wanted to go back to his yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael. So let's go ask the Chafetz Chaim. And the parents said, "We want our child to stay son to stay in here in Europe because we're afraid of Eretz Yisrael." And the Chafetz Chaim says, "Whoever can run and escape should escape. You should go to Eretz Yisrael."
Ralph, I didn't understand what you're saying. Whoever should escape?
Yes, escape
and
Europe.
The commentary, escape Europe, or he said...
He said he wants you to go to Eretz Yisrael. Go back to Eretz Yisrael.
So escape from Europe.
Escape from Europe.
From Europe.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Whoever can save himself from Europe should get out of here. Everything. So they asked, but who says it's going to be any better in Eretz Yisrael? Who says it's going to be any better in Eretz Yisrael? So it says, so he answered, it's a Mefurish Pasuk. Ubahar Tzion yiyah pleita v'yiyah kodesh. On Har Tzion there'll be a pleita, a remnant. A group will be saved, Eretz Yisrael will be saved, Har Tzion will be saved, and that's where the Kedusha is going to be. And Kachava. What was the downfall of Hitler? The downfall of Hitler was when he tried to attack Eretz Yisrael. Right? We had Rommel. It was in 1944, I think. Rommel tried to attack Eretz Yisrael, and that was the whole mice I told you about the Orach Chaim and the davening at the Orach Chaim here with the Hutziana Rov, and he just got bogged down in sandstorms, and he couldn't move. He couldn't do anything until the British they gathered their forces and they reinforced and they blocked the advance of Rommel's troops. So Rommel was pushed away from Eretz Yisrael. So he couldn't get into Eretz Yisrael. And that's immediately afterwards. Hitler was frustrated, so he opened up the Russian front and he wanted to take over Russia. He attacked Russia, and that was his downfall because he spread his troops so thin, and then he got bogged down in a Russian winter, and that was the beginning, and that was the beginning of the end for Hitler. Because he had tried to attack Eretz Yisrael. Ubahar Tzion tiyeh pleita. In Eretz Yisrael there'll be a pleita. So they asked Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein. No, my parents are calling them up. They have children in Eretz Yisrael. People are in America. They're asking, should they send their kids to the yeshivas and to the seminaries in Eretz Yisrael? And he quoted the Chafetz Chaim b'Sheretz Yisrael yiyeh pleita. And I remember during the Scud War, Milchemes HaMifratz, the Gulf War. So they asked Rav Scheinberg. People. You had Junge Light, and they had just got American citizenship, and they were just tourists living on a tourist visa, learning in Kollel, and they said maybe we should go back. So he says, who says going to be any safer in America? Who says going to be any safer in America? Says the safest place. Rav Zilberstein said, the Rav Chaim Kanievsky said the safest place is Bnei Brak. Rav Scheinberg says the safest place is Yerushalayim.
It's Kiryat Sefer. It's Kiryat Sefer.
L'char, wherever there's Torah, he says, Rav Scheinberg's told, I heard Rav Scheinberg say, I remember, they asked Rav Scheinberg about during the Scud War, and he says the missiles can't land in Yerushalayim. There's too much kedusha. It's like an iron dome, and they didn't. Nothing happened. There was a terrorist. He had a knapsack which was going to blow up right near the Mir Yeshiva, right? And someone spotted it. It was in a dumpster, and people were passing by. It was set to go off when everybody's getting out of Yeshiva. And they found it, and they disengaged it, neutralized it. So nothing happened. Nothing happened near big things didn't happen. There have been some bus bombings. Hashem Yerachem, we have all our tzoros, but with no missiles. No missiles. I can't promise nothing's going to happen, but look what's going on in America today. Look what's going on. Australia. Thousands and thousands of people marching, gas the Jews. In Belgium, in London, they had 300,000 Palestinians marching. From the river to the sea, we want, Palestine will be Jew-free. Not just free, Jew-free. And that's mamas. It's outright Semitism. It used to be covered over up until a month, 2 months ago. It was all covered over. They were trying to, not publicize it so much. They're not afraid anymore. They're saying it outright. Gas the Jews. Genocide. That's what they want. All the Palestinians are saying it all over the world, and the lefties, all over the people all over the universities. This is how not a university that anybody can go to that is safe for the Jews.
Arkansas State, Rebbe. Arkansas State. Totally safe. And none of the woke nonsense also. None of the,
And because of the woke nonsense, I think it's very good that the Jews should get out of the universities. They're all becoming lefties. The universities are a place where you get brainwashed to be a lefty, and this woke nonsense. But now it's not safe. Right? In Flatbush, they had a march. In Borough Park, in Los Angeles, and in Miami, they're marching all over the world. They're marching and saying, "Gas the Jews," and they don't know how to. They're afraid to stop it because the First Amendment rights. It's. So what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to look at all this? So I told you, again, I want to repeat myself. When the Chafetz Chaim said his vort that there's going to be a World War III and then Mashiach's going to come, so Rav Chatzkel Levenstein gave a vad to the Avreichim, and Shalom Shadran was there, and he told over this Maisa. This is a Kabbalah from Reb Aaron Kotler and from Nosson Wachvold Zatzal, that this is what the Chafetz Chaim said. And Rav Chatzkel Levenstein said it over, and Shalom Shadran. So he asked Rav Chatzkel, "Why are you scaring us?" Remember, I told you this. Why are you scaring us? Why can't you tell us, to be mechazik ourselves in limud, and that'll be okay, and tell us how to? So Rav Chatzkel got very, very upset. That says, "Don't you understand? There's not going to be a war." A physical war? Well, it is a physical war. We see it's a physical war. So what does it mean? It's not going to be a physical war. It's a war of emunah. The Hester Panim is going to be so dark, people are going to have sveikas in their emunah. And we see how hard it is to have emunah today with what's going on.
Is Rebbe implying that it was wrong for those people to ask the question to leave? Like, obviously you should have stayed? Is that our implication?
It's not obvious we should stay. You need
You just said
big
it shares
people.
a plate, like that's it. There's no other place to go.
Oh, now Kodesh Baruch Hu is
Now.
showing us. He's showing us there's no other place to go.
Obviously, so what's the shiloh these people are asking you to leave?
People don't see that. People think that the way it was yesterday is the way it's going to be tomorrow. And I've had a very comfortable life in Lakewood and in Borough Park, and everything's going to be just fine. We'll get over it. We've had our problems before, and don't rock the boat. That's the way people are. They go. What it was yesterday is going to be tomorrow.
You're saying that's miksas emunah?
That's the way people are. That is a mitzias. But we see that things are changing. We see that things are changing. I'm saying that we see the warning signs of America because of all the demonstrations, all the marches, and the Palestinians and the voices, the anti-Semitic voices that are calling for the destruction of all the Jews, not just against Israel. Used to use Israel was just a code word for Jews, but they always said we're against Zionism. Now they're against the Jews. They're saying it openly. So it's getting very, very dangerous. But I'm not posketing what a person should do, whether they move here or not. I'm saying, but we who are here in Eretz Yisrael, we see the signs. Now, should a person people who are coming to learn Eretz Yisrael, if you have a good reason to come to Eretz Yisrael and you have the ability, come.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, Rebbe. Is it miksas emunah? Is it a problem with emunah if you're here and you're asking that question? Should I be leaving? Or that's a lack of historical awareness?
Amunah and betachin is a very wide range of. Let me get into my shmooze.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. But Amunah has a lot of madregas. But I'm saying we have you need a Chafetz Chaim to give a psak like that. Behar Tzion Tiye Pleta. Right? We need a Chafetz Chaim to call out that pasuk. When Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein told the people what they should do, that they should come over here, he quoted that pasuk. He was talking about that Maisa. He was talking about those Maisa with the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim was the one who made that statement. He doesn't have Ruach HaKodesh. He can make such a statement. Chafetz Chaim had Ruach HaKodesh. Rav Scheinberg had Ruach. He had something. He wasn't the Chafetz Chaim, but he definitely had. He had a connection. He had a Bluetooth connection upstairs, and everybody knows. Chaim Kanievsky. His brachas and his were just spooky things that he said. He also had a connection. So if these people say that Bnei Brak and Yerushalayim are safe,
And Kiryat Sefer.
and Kiryat Sefer,
Up till a few months from now, when he moves to Arno. Oh, sorry. Should also move to
we have a.
Kifta said, and I heard him say it, when Mashiach comes, he's coming on the way to Yerushalayim, he's coming through Kiryat Sefer.
No way, he's not going to be He's not going to be Litvak.
He said that.
Through Tellstone.
Huh?
Through Tellstone. With gift.
No, through Kiryat Sefer.
Through Kiryat Sefer.
Yeah. he was in
Matis Yo.
Kiryat Sefer is the same
That's
thing.
you're
okay.
going to have stated he's going to
I
come
heard
through
you say
the
that.
airport. He told me,
He doesn't. Mashiach's not going to need an airport.
He has to go convince the Litvaks that he's Mashiach.
He's going to go over the green line? How's it be?
I hate to tell you this, but we moved the green line a little bit.
What is betachin? So I gave this shmooze. I think I gave this shmooze last year, Parshas Vayechi. But I think that Parshas Vayechi is the yesod of betachin, and I can't pass this up. Yaakov Avinu last week, he got into the fight with Esav, and Esav was out to slit his throat. We know that, and so his mother told him, run away, and his father told him, run away, go to Lavan, your uncle, and run away from Esav until the things calm down. Things calm down. He's running away, and we all know the medrash. We all know the medrash that his father sent him with just empty-handed. His father was a millionaire. His father he obviously sent him with a dowry, with something, But Eliphaz came with his band of hoodlums, and they stole everything from him. And because Eliphaz was fort and anacle of Yaakov of Yitzchak, he was a grandson of Yitzchak, so he had a little bit of Rachmanis in him, even though he was son of Esav, so but he had a little bit of Rachmanis. And when Yaakov pleaded for he said, an ani chashuv kameis, an ani is considered like a mace. I'll give you everything. I'll be an ani. I'll be a poor person, an indigent, and therefore it's as if you killed me and you did your kibbud of aim. So Eliphaz agreed. He took everything, and here Yaakov is on the road, walking. Doesn't have anything, not a donkey, nothing. Just his stick, his staff, and he's supposed to go to Lavan in Chorin and go get a shidduch. And he said over this verse in Tehillim. We're saying it constantly now today. Shir Amalos Eso Eino Elohari Me'ayin Yovo Yezri. So they use this pasuk as this is what Yaakov Avinu said. Me'ayin Yovo Ezri. Ezri means my shidduch. Pashup shot Me'ayin Yovo Ezri, my help. But we reinterpret it that it means Me'ayin Yovo Ezri, my Ezer Kenegdo. Where's my Ezer Kenegdo going to come from? I look at Eso Eino Elohorim. I look at my parents, the Horim. I lift up my eyes to my parents. Where did look at Avram when he wanted to get a shidduch for his son Yitzchak, my father. He sent Eliezer, Eved Avram, with 10 camels piled high with presents and jewels and jewelry and gold and silver and all the kol tuvin. He had a whole dowry to influence Besuel to give his daughter in marriage. And here I am, I have nothing. Me'ayin Yovo Ezri. Where's my help, my shidduch going to come from? Ezri miyim Hashem osei shemayim v'yoretz. So the Medrash Darshans, Yaakov Avinu said, what's going to be? What's going to be? Now Yaakov Avinu was known to be a big Baal B'tochen. He was trying not to get depressed. So he was trying to strengthen himself, but Me'ayin Yovo Ezri. So the Beis HaLevi says, this is a natural habit of people, even Bali B'tochen. Person's got B'tochen, and he's in business, and he knows that things are going to go good. Now, does it mean I'm going to land that contract? He thinks about I can get that contract, and therefore that contract is going to work out. Or I'm going to meet my great uncle, and my great uncle is going to give me a check for $10,000, and because he's got all sorts of cheshbonis, how it's going to happen. Maybe I'm going to get an inheritance from somewhere, and that's how I'm going to make my fortune. People make all sorts of cheshbonis, and they try to figure out how are things going to work out. And then Yaakov Avinu stopped. It's a chesaron in b'tochen how it's going to work out. What do you mean, how is it going to work out? Ezri miyim Hashem, osei shemayim v'yoretz. Kodesh Baruch, my help is from Hashem. Hashem doesn't need all this. He's osei shemayim v'yoretz. What's this osei shemayim v'yoretz? He created the world. He created the world. If he created the world, he can't help me. He needs my help. Try to make all sorts of plans how it's going to happen. Kodesh Baruch Hu can do plans in any which way. So to answer your question, was it a chesaron b'tochen to ask the question? B'tochen has many madregas. And it's good to ask questions, but it's good to give the teretz.
It's good to listen to the teretz.
You have to listen to the teretz, and you have to work on the teretz, and you have to work on, yes, we try to make plans. Is there a chiyuv v'shtadlis? Yes, there's a chiyuv v'shtadlis, but there are madregas. Ultimately, when you see that all your shtadlis is not working, and you hit a brick wall, Kosh Baruch Hu do kriyas yamsuf, and you make a crack in the wall just disappear. It'll just turn into a cloud, and you walk right through it, like they walk through kriyas yamsuf. That's the ultimate betochen. So Rav Elio Lapian, he adds another kanech in this medrash. Shir Malas Esoi Einai Elohorim Me'ayin Yovo Ezri. How do we translate that word, me'ayin? From where? That's Pashut Pshat. From where will my help come? There's another pshat. Ayin is nothing. What is ayin? Nothing. Me'ayin Yovo Ezri. It's not a question, it's an answer. Me'ayin Yovo Ezri. My help can come from, because he's Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz. And I want to add another kanech. Why does he have to add Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz? Now, why does it say Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz? It's present tense. It should say Osa Shemayim V'Oretz. He did it. Because Baruch Hu created the world, he can bring me my salvation in any way, in any which way. Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz. We say in Yotze Or every day. Right? He's doing Ma'aseh Bereishis right now. If he's doing Ma'aseh Bereishis right now, my help can come out like Ma'aseh Bereishis is Yesh Me'ayin. So what do I have to worry about how it's going to happen? It's going to happen. And the Goins Paskins, this is the famous Shitas of Goin, is not like the Rambam, and not like the Chazon Ish, but this is the Ramban and the Gra. A person has absolute betochen like of this madrega, it's going to happen.
Is it going or Rishon Salanto?
Excuse me?
Is it going or Rishon Salanto?
Could be the Yisrael Salanter also. That's the mice with Yisrael Salanter with the Rishash. I won't get into it. Yes, there is a Yisrael Salanter with the Baal Rishash, Shmuel Strassen.
Even though it's for sure absolutely going to happen if I believe 100%.
There's a Chaim Volozhin with the gold watch. Anyway, many mice. It's the Goin Shita. This is the Goin Shita. The Goin Shita didn't come out of the blue. It's based on a Ramban. This is Machlokes, the Ramban and the Rambam, and the Cholos Halavavos.
Specific that's going to happen.
According to the Goin, yes.
Even though you don't know if it's good or not.
No.
Maybe then you won't fully believe in it. You don't know.
You don't know if it's good or not. Who said it's good? You think it's good.
So then you won't.
That's why we daven. We always add a little connection, a tanai, a little condition into it. It says Hagomel Chasodim Toivim. We beg Kodesh Baruch Hu, give me chasodim. I have a whole laundry list of chasodim, but I want the chasodim toivim. Daven, it should be good. It's good for me. And even if it's not good for you, Kodesh Baruch Hu can arrange it that it's good for you. But you have to be living on this on the madrega. So Rav Sternbach years ago, Rav Sternbach already several years ago, he's been talking about this for a while now. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending us wake-up calls. All these incidents are wake-up calls. And I mentioned last time, there's a very, very big problem in Eretz Yisrael. The whole country was founded of never again. Never again. We will defend ourselves against it. Never again. It's not going to happen. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then they got blasted in the Yom Kippur War. They were caught caught totally off guard. They didn't know about the invasion coming in the Yom Kippur War, and it blew out all the arrogance. But it blew up again. All the arrogance blew up again. The Israeli cup, the genius of the Israelis, the best technology Israelis have the best technology. They're selling the technology all over the world. People want the Israeli technology, and they had all the sensors and all the electrical apparatus around the Gaza wall that they could even, sense a bird, perching on the wall would trigger off, alarm system in the control centers. And the Arabs, like with prehistoric, techniques, non-technological techniques, just neutralized all the sensors, blew through the wall, and came in, and it took hours for Tzahal to respond. What happened? And now everybody's going to start trying to point fingers. It's his fault. It's his fault. Kadosh Baruch is doing a wake-up call. Stop the arrogance. It's a bas kol min hashamayim. You can't do it. And this is the Gemara at the end of Saita. The end of Saita brings down the whole. It's a terrible time. All the terrible things that are going to happen. The Ikvasid of Mashiach. At the time of Ikvasid of Mashiach, it's going to be, the whole world is just disintegrating. The morals are disintegrating. The ethics is disintegrating. The human relationships are disintegrating. Intelligence is disintegrating. All of civilization is it's just unweaving. It's just, it's coming apart at the seams. Ein lano, and people are going to say, finally, maybe they'll wake up and they'll realize, Ein lano liishon ela l'avinu shebashamayim. That's the Gemara in Saita. We have no one to rely on except Avinu shebashamayim. Then the Mashiach is going to come. When we finally say, Me'ayin yavo Ezri, my help, my salvation will come out of nowhere, meaning from a Kodesh Baruch Hu, Oisei Shemayim Be'orish, is like a Kodesh Baruch Hu does. He's creating, constantly doing Ma'aseh Bereishis. Ein lanu lishom el Avinu shebashamayim. And that's the whole purpose. That's what the Chafetz Chaim meant. Rav Chatzkel Levenstein, when he said, "Don't you understand? It's not a milchama of guns. It is. I mean, it is a milchama, but it's not a milchama of guns. It's a war of emunah. And this is a very, very big war of emunah, where the generals and the politicians are saying, never again. Biyachad ninatzeach. That's what they're saying. Biyachad ninatzeach. Together we will win. We're going to make sure it never happens again." I listened to Bibi he giving his speeches. Bibi giving his speeches. I was waiting to hear the word Hashem coming out of his mouth.
I heard him say it once.
So he first said Baruch Hashem. At least that. At least that. He got.
I thought Yachad was Echad Yachad U'Miyuchad. That's Beyachad and that's what they meant.
Oh.
With Hashem.
Am Yisrael biyachad im Hashem.
Beyachad. Yachad is Hashem.
There is something. Just one second. So depends who you're talking about. So Bibi, he said Baruch Hashem, but he wouldn't say. Once I heard him said Be'ezet Hashem.
Yeah, the first night when he
Be'ezet Hashem. But this is a pitkam.
He's saying it for his voters.
You got one.
He's religious voters.
Galant. What's his name? Galant. He never mentioned a Kodesh Baruch Hu. They had he came to Sderot or something like that. There was a Chabadsker over there, so he got him to put on tefillin. And he wouldn't even say the bracha. The Chabadsker had to say the bracha. He wouldn't say the bracha. He was watching, just wanted all the cameras. He wanted all the cameras on him that he's putting on tefillin, like, as if Ki'ilu. But he wouldn't say the bracha.
He didn't have a kippah on his head.
No, they put a kippah on his head.
Maybe there's soa somewhere, he was kosher, he was the bracha, but he wanted to direct.
These people are still saying, we will never again, nin natseyach. And that's the fight that we're having with these secular Israelis. We've had it from before the Medina. We've had it. And this is the battle of there's no Hashem. There's no Hashem. We have to take everything into our own hands. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu has to. They're now in a war, and I'm afraid I'm on video right now, being recorded.
You are. You're not afraid. You are.
But I'm afraid of what's going to happen, because Bibi's very confident that we're going to wipe out Hamas. And Kodesh Baruch Hu, I don't know what plans the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Halavai, I daven. Halavai, that Sal is. We have to get rid of these monsters. But we don't know how it's going to blow up in our faces, because we're not responding properly.
Maybe they met in their heart feel that there is Hashem, but
every Jew does.
But their cheshbon is that it's a weakness. It's perceived as a weakness if we say it. So we can't say it, but b'etzem we feel it.
Every Jew feels it. Every Jew be'emes feels it. Every Jew be'emes feels it. There's. If you remember, a few weeks ago, the girl soldier who they had her. They escaped her from they took her out of the hostage. They took her out of Gaza, Megadish. So before she got out, so it was all over the internet. Her mother, she's a Chilonit. Her mother's a Chilonit, but she's a Sephardi. The Sephardim have a lave. Sephardim they really have a deep down. They have a lave.
Good breeding. That's real Jews. That's why we kept purity. Listen. And some people miss.
Yeah, I'm Ashkenazi. I know all about it.
It's only Sephardim and the Kohanim. That's it. Everyone else is a mudblood. Let's be real. Yeah?
So they have a video. You all saw the video. She put a tichel on her head, and then they did hafrashas challah. B'schus the hafrashas challah that her daughter's going to come out of captivity. And she did hafrashas challah, and there's a tefillah. So she was reading the tefillah, and tears were coming out of her eyes. There should be Yeshua for her daughter, and then she screamed out of nowhere, "Hakadosh Baruch Hu, ani ohevet otcha." Hakadosh Baruch Hu, I love you. Where'd that come from? Her daughter is a hostage, and Hakadosh Baruch Hu, I love you. A couple of days later, the next day, a Chilonit Chaver Knesset. No.
Next day the daughter came out.
Next day the daughter came out. No, yeah, but before the daughter came out.
Yeah, the Knesset member.
So the Knesset member, a Chilonit from Likud, she got up there and she said, it's all on video. She got up there and she says, I used to think that was a prehistoric concept. To think like that is prehistoric. It's not modern. It's not intellectual. It makes absolutely no sense. But when I saw her say, "Hakadosh Baruch Hu, ani ohevet otcha," I was jealous of her. That she has such a deep emunah in such a situation. She has such a deep emunah. I am jealous of her. That's what this secular Chaver Knesset lady said. And then the daughter came out, and now her uncle, Morris Elul, her uncle, he had taken on. He made a neder to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If she gets out, I'm now Shomer Shabbos. He got on the video in front of everybody, right? So make sure he couldn't back out, right? And he says, I'm now Shomer Shabbat. And they have a picture of him putting on tefillin. He even started putting on tefillin.
Not on Shabbos.
Not on Shabbos.
picture wasn't taken.
There's a Hisoyrus in Eretz Yisrael. Something's happening in Eretz Yisrael. There's something happening in Eretz Yisrael. You see videos of platoons, of soldiers, and the Bistama, they're mixed, like, religious soldiers and non-religious soldiers. They have a video of saying Kiddush Friday night in the tank, and they're dancing and singing, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring us the Nitzachon. They're singing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring us the victory. That's what they're singing. And they're beginning to, this, we mentioned last time, you're still tying tzitzis. I don't know, last time it was like 50,000 pairs of tzitzis, probably up to 100,000.
Someone said there was a request for 200,000.
200,000 pairs of tzitzis, the chayalim, secular chayalim. I want you to think about this. Think about this. 2 months ago on Yom Kippur, there was such a sinner, such a hatred against religious Jews that they wouldn't allow a Ne'ilah service in Tel Aviv. Not in Tel Aviv. You're not going to have a religious ceremony in Tel Aviv. They disrupted the ceremony. They ripped down the Ke'ilu Mechitza that was made of Israeli flag. They forced the people to go to a different place. These people, the religious Jews had something the non-religious Jews, they had something in their heart. They remembered the Yom Kippur. They remembered Ne'ilah, Kol Nidre and Ne'ilah. They want to, okay, we can't go to it wasn't even it was just in the streets of Tel Aviv. And they disrupted it. They wouldn't allow it.
I have to tell a story. Because I don't know if I told it or my son he deals in Hagbara,
amplification.
So the army took him to do the funerals, because the funerals have all these, they have a whole tekes. He went to one funeral, and the father was burying a son and a daughter. Same funeral. And he said, I'm burying my son and my daughter because I'm being punished. There's a punishment for me. He says, my son and a daughter, they went on Yom Kippur to disrupt the service and take down the Mechitza in Tel Aviv, and this is the punishment. He says, we were dealing with Sinat Chinam, now we have to go to Ahavat Chinam.
So there was a sign.
Rabbi, are you saying not like you were saying 4 weeks ago? I.e., is this unique to? You were saying that there's a
deep.
You saying
it says
is different.
Yeah.
And you're saying now no, it's better than 73.
Listen, I don't know how long it's going to last. 73. In 73 there was also his Cyrus.
It's a process.
It was a different
What so in 73?
You don't know the
We don't,
where we're at right now versus
in 73 there was a Hisayris of Tshuva. It says right after the Yom Kippur, after the 67 war, I heard that that all the tefillin were bought out of Meishorim. So there's always been an Hisayris Tshuva at.
No, but then you said the Klum Nik, that was 2 weeks ago. It was Klum Nikim.
That's how we were. That's how we were before Yom Kippur War. And so therefore, that's the way they look at us. That's how they look at us.
Okay, now we have 6 weeks.
Now, we've had the time. The question is, at Yom Kippur War, there was Hisayris also. The question is, it didn't last. Now it's a Yovel 50 years later. Now it's happening again. Listen, I believe in the Jewish people. We have a different neshama. You didn't have a different. Mechilas kavod of Bibi and Galant and all the people they have to they can't be modal emes because they can't say things publicly, and they have their pride in front of the camera, so they can't say things. But the common folk, deep down, a Yid has got a Yiddish neshama, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing all this in order to rouse us to tshuva. It says, I quoted the Gemara. The Gemara, and it says, Rabbi Elazar says, the Mashiach is not going to come unless we do tshuva. So Rabbi Yeshua asked him, and if they don't do tshuva, Mashiach is not coming? So Rabbi Elazar answered, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will raise up a melech kosher kahamin, and force them to do tshuva, and that will bring the Mashiach. What did the Kodesh Baruch Hu do now? We have these savages, and they hate Jews as much as Haman wanted. Haman wanted to destroy the Jews, burn them up, dismember them. Totally, there should be no zecher. That's why but by Amalek, we have to make sure there's no zecher of Amalek, because that's what they wanted to do to us. More than just genocide, they want to annihilate any zecher of a Jew. That's what this guy in Iran wants to do, Khomeini, whatever. He's the biggest anti-Semite. Huh? He's the biggest anti-Semite. He's paying all these people. He's calling all the shots. Sinwar is on his payroll, and Hezbollah and Henya, they're on his payroll, and he's funding and arming them, and they want this 4-day ceasefire. They're going to extend it, dribble it out, and because through Egypt they're going to rearm them in the tunnels that they're going through the Egyptian side of Gaza. That's what they want to do. They need to replenish. But why is there his service of tshuva? Kodesh Baruch Hu did this in order that there should be a service of tshuva. Here, this sign, someone sent me this, a sign in yeshiva in Ramat Gan. One of the boys in the yeshiva is a soldier in Givati. And he called one of the Bachim and he said, last night in the middle of the battles, I was in the war room. My commander came over to me and told me, I have a mission for you. You're religious, right? You have a kippah, right? Go pray. Titpalel. Huh? What? You heard me. Now this commander is a secular Jew. He lives with his girlfriend in Tel Aviv. And he tells me, listen to me, it's only prayers. We have now a long time we have a couple of tanks there in an exposed area, and they have to be fixed. And either they're fixed or it's going to be a catastrophe. Go daven. Okay, he didn't know what to make of that. It took him time to digest that. He says, what did he do? Okay, so he went into a room there. He says it wasn't a time for him to concentrate on davening, he's got other things on his mind. But he went to the room and he says, Ribboni Shalom, these are your sons. Have rachmanis on them. There shouldn't be a chil Hashem. He's asking me to daven. Answer me. So there should not be a chil Hashem. And he davened for 15 minutes. He prayed. It's the tefillas. He walked back into the war room, and the commander's face is shining. You have no idea what happened. As soon as you went into the other room, they fixed one tank, and then they fixed the other tank. Within 15 minutes, they fixed 4 tanks. They're all functioning now. We're back in business. You are not going to Gaza. You are staying here to pray. This is a Chiloni. This is a Chiloni. There are other things coming out. There are incredible stories that are coming out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending messages on what day was the October 7th?
Yeah.
October 7th. So there was a non-religious boy, and he was in the middle of being mitchazek, right? And he was at the party. What's it called? Re'im. He was at the party, and they were getting close to Shabbos. He says, I have to go home. I accepted upon myself that until after Sukkot, I'm going to be Shomer Shabbat. That's what I promised. My word is a word. I'm going back. And there were a couple of boys with him. So 7 boys, him and 6 others. They left the party on Erev Shabbat. They got to Ashkelon. They were too far away to go back home. They lived in the middle of Eretz Yisrael somewhere. They got to Ashkelon. They made arrangements. They got into an apartment, and they somehow or other, their neighbors arranged food for them. and they got into they left 7 friends over there in the party, and in the middle of the night, he had a dream. A friend of his 7 years ago had drowned in the Kinneret, and the friend came to him in a dream. This is Friday. This is late Friday night, or Shabbos morning, and he had this dream, and he says, "You don't know what a noise you made in Shemayim. Because of what you did, not going to the party, and your Shomer Shabbat, they saved you." He woke in the morning. Saved me from what? He had no clue. And then they heard the sirens go off in the morning, and whether they opened the radio, didn't open the radio, but they heard about it. All 7 friends who stayed there, 5 of them were killed and 2 were taken hostage. But all the 6 that got to Ashkelon, the 7 or 6 that got to Ashkelon, they were saved. And now he's Shomer Shabbat. After such a Maisa, he's Shomer Shabbat. There was a young Golani soldier who was in hospitals, mortally wounded, and he slipped into a near-death situation. They were trying to save him, and he woke up shaking. And they asked, finally, when he was able to talk, he says, he went up to Bezin Shomayla. This is the messages that Kodesh Baruch Hu is sending us. He went to Bezin Shomayla, and there was a fight going on. The angels were pulling me up, but there was a rope going down, pulling me down, to all the Talmidei Chachamim who are learning and davening for the schus of the soldiers, and that was pulling me down. And the schus of the Talmidei Chachamim was Menatzeach, and therefore he came back. This is what's going on now. These are the stories that are coming out. Whether you take it or, do take it or don't take it, But I believe in Klal Yisrael. We have to now strengthen ourselves and remember what the Gematria I told you. Eretz Yisrael's Gematria 832. Hashem Ish Milchama, Hashem Shmo is Gematria 832. Hashem is the Ish Milchama, not the Tzahal. Hashem Ish Milchama. Eile Berecha ve'eile Besusim, v'anachnu b'shem Hashem Elokeinu Nazkir.
So why is it a fight in the Yuna? Why is it, or like the Chavetz Chaim said, it's a battle in a Yuna?